Moving on, skills needed. Your success is determined by your weakest skill. Now think about, let's say there's a group of kids out hiking throughout the woods. I don't know, let's say there's 10 of them. Your pace is determined by your slowest kid, right? It's not your fastest, because if it was determined by that, then you're leaving kids behind. So everyone has to keep up and make their pace with the slowest kid. It's the same thing in business. Your weakest skill determines your level of success and ultimately your income level. So you can't make a lot of money if you're not a good salesman. Fact is, there are certain skills you will need to possess in order to be successful. If you don't have them, you either need to hire someone who's good at the skill, or you just have to grin and bear it and learn a new skill set. And an example would be, let's say, closing. I don't want to get into, I don't have to close, and if you present right, you don't have to close and all that. That's not the point. The fact is, there comes a certain point during the sale, I guess if you want to call it, presentation, however you want, whatever word you want to associate with it. There comes a point where you pretty much have to ask for the sale, and you have to move forward and get a commitment from the person, and ultimately, collect a check from them. Alright, let's move on here. Let's dive into some of the good stuff. Let's talk about how to market yourself and how to get clients to hire you as a consultant. But before we do, keep in mind that what I'm about to show you are things you can use when you do land some clients and help them grow their business. So just keep that in mind as you're watching. You'll kind of see what I mean as we go along here. Alright, so business basically comes down to three things if you want to simplify everything, and that is identify target market, get leads, and then convert those leads. That's pretty much it. Identify your market, get the leads, convert them, and just over and over, that's what you're doing. So let's go into message, market, media. Message being your copy, market being who you're targeting, and then the media being like newspaper, TV, direct mail, the internet, PPC, radio, things like that. Basically how you get your ad out there. Market is the most important of the three. Sending a poor message to a targeted sending a poor message to a targeted market is better than sending a great message to an untargeted market. So basically you want to pick your market first and then worry about the message and the media. Always keep that in mind. I see that's probably one of the biggest blunders, if you want to call it, of people when they're doing marketing, is they don't pick their market first. A lot of times, actually, let me give you an example. Perfect example is a local business owner, say a bricks and mortar business owner. They don't pick their market because what happens is, let's just say a Yellow Page sales rep happens to walk through the door one day and says, hey, advertise with me. And they're like, oh, they think that's okay. And they, I need to advertise to get business, so okay. And they hand them over $11 billion for a small ad or whatever the cost is these days. And then they wonder why they're not getting results from the ad. It's because they picked the media first, and they pretty much most likely didn't worry about the message, and the market is not even there because obviously the phone book goes to everyone. So always do that. Pick your market first, and then go on to the media and the message. So your first objective, I pretty much just talked about this. Identify your target market. And let me give you an example to help you. Here, an example of your target market might be, now that, again, keep in mind these are just examples. You don't have to necessarily use just these figures, and you might want to go about this a different way, but revenue between 1 to 10 million. And the reason, by the way, I say 10 million is because after a certain number, it's not necessarily right at 10 million, but after a certain number, business is so big that you might not, as a personal marketing consultant, you might not want to work with them, because getting things done is going to be a huge pain in the butt, because there's so many people who have to approve it, stockholders, shareholders to make happy, and just so many departments, things got to go through. So that's why you might want to keep it on the lower end. High transaction value, probably obvious, but if you're charging someone $1,000, $2,000 a month to do consultant work, and you're doing, let's say you're doing it, an extreme example, but let's say you're doing it for a dollar store, they're going to have to sell an extra 2,000 items just to pay your fee back. But on the other hand, let's say you're doing it for a cosmetic surgeon, if you got them one extra patient a month, that's probably at least, I don't know the prices, but probably at least $3,000 easy, probably more, but you get the idea. Repeat customers, again, it's probably an obvious thing. You obviously want to be able to sell to people again and again. They are the cheapest customers to sell to, is past customers. You want to make sure they're already advertising. This is probably, you might want to stick with this one no matter what your criteria is. The reason I say that is if they're already advertising, they already understand, even if it's just a tiny bit, they understand that they have to advertise their business. So you probably want to stick with that one. Employees, I have here 1 to 10, 10 to 30, 50 plus, whatever you want to do. That's a whole other subject, but if you get into a lot of employees, you might see huge success if you have to train all the employees and train them how to close better, how to be a better salesman, things like that, answer the phone differently. But at the same time, you either might not have that skill set to teach them, or you might just not want to. So keep that in mind. And been in business for at least 5 years, you can change this. If the reason I say at least 5 years is they kind of have a track record. They kind of know what they're doing. They're maybe not necessarily, but they're probably somewhat successful. And which, believe it or not, they're the kind of clients you want to work with. Someone's already successful. And just to actually go on this a little more, you want to work with someone that's successful, and quite frankly, that they could probably do the marketing themselves. What you want to charge them for, but the thing is, they don't either have the time or they just don't want to. So it might sound like it's counterintuitive to go after someone that is successful and that could do it themselves, but it's actually not, because like I just said, they might not want to or they might not have the time. So again, these were examples. Keep them in mind. You can come up with whatever criteria you want, but this is a decent one to start with at least. So let's move on here. Let's talk about lead generation. And this, by the way, is where I said, pay attention and keep in mind that the things I'm showing you, you can use when you get clients. And this is one of them, lead generation, because everyone wants to know how to do that. So let's go into that. Clients aren't looking for you, so for the most part, forget relying on business owners searching the internet. As most small brick and mortar businesses are not hopping on Google and searching local marketing consultant or things like that. So you're pretty much going to have to go after them, and you can do that with my favorite is direct mail. So for your website, you're going to have to basically send the traffic to it, because again, they're not really looking for you. You can do that with postcards or letters, PPC, which is pay-per-click, in case you didn't know that, videos on YouTube or wherever with a link back to your site, form posting, with the obvious signature link, things like that, and etc. My favorite is direct mail. It's basically using direct mail to get potential clients to visit your website. Cheap thing is just sending postcards with some great headline, some awesome bullet points showing the benefits, things like that, and basically giving them a link to your website. Lumpy mail is just another form of direct mail, and then postcards like I just talked about. So let me show you some postcard examples.